Hey guys, today I wanted to do a story time of something that was very, very hard for me. This was actually my miscarriage like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years this October. So it's actually kind of two stories in one. My dad and his stroke and me and my miscarriage. So as I talk about this, I don't want you guys to get the wrong message because I might not cry. I might not show a lot of my emotion. That's just kind of how I am, unless you like really, really know me. At the time, it was a very, very hard time for me, obviously. And I just don't want you to think that I'm like heartless and I don't care and it didn't affect me as much as it did. It just might not come across that way because I kind of hold everything in until it all comes out at once. So I'm hoping that it all won't come out at once and that I won't start crying in the middle of this. But yeah, if I seem like cold about this, it's not that I didn't care. It's not that this did not affect me. It's just that I do not show everybody my emotions. So enough about that. So I had my daughter, and then I got in the Mirena IUD for about a year and a half. I went back to school when my daughter was 3 months old, and I graduated with my business administration degree when she was about a year and a half. So after I graduated, me and my boyfriend discussed it, and we wanted to start trying for another baby because we both come from big families. We both want big families, so we decided that that would be a good time to start trying. I went in to get my IUD removed, and the strings were gone, and so they made me an appointment with OBGYN instead of just my regular practitioner. And she dug around in there, and she said, if I cannot get this out in the next couple minutes, that you're gonna have to be taken to surgery and we'll take it out that way. It had like flipped on its side and it was embedded in my uterus. That was the Mirena. I loved it while it worked, and then not so much when bad things happened. So then from January until October, we were trying. So about 10 months of trying, maybe 9, 10 months, something like that. Yes, so I had my birthday, and I had checked a pregnancy test like the week before because that's when I should have been able to tell if I was pregnant or not. I was taking tests every single month, and it was disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And I have PCOS, and my periods are kind of irregular, you just never know what they're gonna do. So, yeah, I took a test like a week before my birthday and it said negative, and I was like, okay, and my period didn't come, and it didn't come. So like a week after my birthday, almost exactly a week after my birthday, I think it was October 9th. I remember this day. My boyfriend was actually working in the field. He takes his month vacation from the railroad and does like fall field work and drives tractors and all that stuff. So me and my daughter had gone to see him in the field, and we rode in the tractor for a little bit, and then I called Mom on the way home, just like a normal Friday, nothing unusual, and we chit-chatted, and I got off the phone, and it was like maybe 6 o'clock. I get a text later on, probably 9:30 or so, from my sister, and she tried calling me, and like my daughter was in bed. I was trying to get ready for bed, and so I didn't answer, which is not unusual for me because I hardly ever answer my phone. So my sister, knowing that, she texted me, this is an emergency, answer your phone. So I called her back, and she is in tears. This is my oldest sister, the oldest out of all of us kids. There's 8 of us kids. She was on the phone just crying, and I just had a gut feeling that it was my dad. She said that he was working outside cutting wood. He had gone inside and was sitting down, and all of a sudden, I guess he started like trying to slap the side of his face, and he said it was like going numb. He stood up and fell on the floor. mom knew what was going on. They called 911. Actually, Dad told them not to call 911. He was like, just get Joseph, my brother, have him help me up into the car, and we'll drive to the hospital. My dad is stubborn. Mom called 911. They actually had to get a helicopter to rush him to a bigger city because they live kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And they found out that Dad, I guess there's like two different kinds of strokes. One is where the blood vessel bursts. One is where there's like a blockage, I think. My dad actually had been struggling with high blood pressure and didn't want to take any medication for it. And he had a blood vessel burst in his brain. So we were all really scared. We didn't know what was going on. They tried to get his blood pressure down, and it was not going down. And my parents live in Idaho, and I live in Minnesota. This is a 24 to 26 hour drive to go see them. And I was freaking out. My dad was in serious condition. We didn't know if he was going to live or die, and I couldn't get to him. And that is a very, very horrible feeling. Okay, maybe I might get emotional. So, maybe over the next couple days, some of my siblings were able to go out right away. Some of us were not able to. I had just started my job September 15th or 16th, so I had only been working there for a couple weeks. And I was like, they're not going to let me go. I didn't have money to just go out, me and my daughter, to fly. I was going to have to ride with somebody, one of my siblings, if I went out, and I really didn't know what the plan was. So a couple more days go by, and I still had not gotten my period. And I was like, it's kind of weird. So I don't remember which day during this week. It was kind of a blur, but I took another test, and it said I was pregnant, and I was so excited. I was like, in all of this crap going on with my dad, like, there is going to be something happy to look forward to, something to tell my family, something that they can all have something positive to look to. So I was excited. Obviously, we'd been trying for like 9-10 months. And I found out, calculating from my last period and everything, I was about 6 weeks along. So during this week, I keep getting updates about my dad. And I don't remember, towards the end of the week, maybe Thursday or Friday, I get a text at work from my sister-in-law, who's a nurse out there, saying they have tried 4 different medications to try to get Dad's blood pressure to go down, and they can't get it to go down. They don't know what's going to happen, but it's not looking good. If his blood pressure keeps being really high, he's going to have another stroke, and he's going to bleed out in his brain. So I was terrified. I hadn't told anybody I was pregnant besides my best friend, sister-in-law, and my boyfriend. So nobody knew yet. The next day was Saturday, and I talked to my mom, and that was a really, really hard conversation. Mom goes, okay, kids, you all need to get out here because we don't know how much longer he has, if we would even get out in time to make it before he would pass away. Hold on one second. Sorry, I have a 3-year-old. She wanted to come upstairs and play. So, yeah, that was a really hard conversation with my mom the whole time. She'd been, like, very stoic, like, not showing any emotion, not showing that anything was horrible. Like, she wasn't crying anytime I talked to her. She was just like, this is what's happening. And to see her kind of like, we don't know, and you guys need to get out here now. So I got on the phone with my sister-in-law and brother, and I was like, Mom says we all have to come out now. So I texted my boss. She had known what was going on, and she was like, go ahead, go out, take the time that you need. Just let me know what's happening when you'll be back. So luckily, work was amazing. And we all decided that we were going to leave the next day, early Sunday. So my boyfriend was like, yeah, go ahead. He couldn't come, but he was trying to make extra money so that he could send us out. We could help pay for gas and everything. So, I rode for a while, and okay, let's go back a little bit. So that night after I talked to Mom, I remember I went to bed, and in the middle of the night I was having dreams and just thoughts while I was half asleep, and I woke up and I was like, oh man, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I remember having like round ligament pain and feeling kind of crampy at the beginning, but I was like, it never hurt this bad, and I was having bad cramps. And I woke up in the morning, the day that we're supposed to be leaving to start driving to Idaho, and this was maybe 4 in the morning or so that I woke up. And, I was having really bad cramps, and I was like, something just is not right. And I went up to go to the bathroom, and, hold on. Okay, guys, this is where it might get a little graphic and a little TMI, but this is what happened. So I got up to go to the bathroom, and, like, I could tell my pajama pants were, like, wet. And I went to the bathroom and I pulled down my pants, and like it was blood, and I sat on the toilet, and I didn't have my contacts in or my glasses, so I couldn't see anything, but I could feel like something plop into the toilet. It was either like a large blood clot or the baby or something, but I started having lots of clotting, and I was cramping really bad. With my first pregnancy, I actually did start bleeding around 12, 13 weeks, but it was just a little bit of blood, and it was light colored, and it didn't last long, and everything turned out okay, but this was something worse. And I had been up all night the night before crying, thinking, my dad is going to die, and I'm going to miss saying goodbye to him, and my dad will never walk me down the aisle. Like, these were all the things that were going on in my head during the week, and I was so stressed out, and I was just up all night the night before crying, and I was like, I am losing this baby, and I knew it. And so, when we got up for the day, I texted Laura, my best friend, my sister-in-law, and I told her what was going on. So, on the way, I brought lots of heavy pads and everything, and I was like, I have to get out to see Dad. This actually, from the beginning of October to the end of October, was my 1 month between my other health care being done and before my new health care at my job started, so I couldn't even go to the doctor to get checked out because I didn't have any insurance. But anyway, we started this road trip, which is a very, very long trip, while I'm having a miscarriage. So I started riding in the vehicle with my brother and my sister-in-law, and they had 2 kids at the time. And we start driving, and I was not having and my daughter was with too. It was kind of miserable in the car. Me and my sister-in-law have a love-hate relationship, and it was just, I didn't want to ride in that vehicle anymore. So I switched vehicles to the vehicle with my brother. This is my oldest brother. He is like the most, I don't know, I'm not the closest with him. He's a very quiet, he looks kind of angry and crabby all the time. He's a softie on the inside, but kind of a hard shell on the outside. So I rode with him, and I certainly wasn't going to tell him what was going on. He didn't know I was pregnant. He didn't know I was having a miscarriage, and I was like, while I was riding, I was like, oh gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong and I don't like bleed out. I hope this wasn't like an ectopic pregnancy and I die on the way there, because he knows nothing about the situation. So we all drove like straight through to get out there as soon as possible. So like 26 hours of driving with like a nap here or there, or while you switch drivers and stuff. It's a very long trip to make, especially in those circumstances. Like every rest stop that we could find, like we stopped at, and I was like hoping I wasn't going to bleed through everything in front of all of my, my brother, and it was a very, very hard trip to say the least. We get out there, and I'm having horrible cramps, and like, I remember we're out there, and I was standing at the counter, and like hunched over and having just cramps. And my mom's like, "Oh, your lady time?" And I was like, something like that. I didn't want to burden her with more stuff to worry about. Well, we don't even know if Dad's gonna live. So my sister was actually like way across the country doing an internship for what she was going to school for, and we somehow got her flown out. My other brother came out earlier in the week. Like, we had almost all of us kids there at once. And I remember going to visit Dad in the hospital. I think it was the next day. It was me and Callie, and I was like, I can't ride like the hour and a half from Mom and Dad's house to the hospital without telling Mom what was going on. So I told her, and then throughout that week I told my sisters and sister-in-laws, but I didn't tell any of the boys. But it was just horrible and awkward and a very hard time. My dad, luckily, I think he just needed all of us kids out there at the same time for him to start getting a little bit better. They found the right medication. His blood pressure went down. And luckily from the stroke, like his mental capacity was not affected. His speech was not barely affected. His arm and his leg were very much affected, but slowly he's gotten better and better, and he can walk right now with a cane. And that all progressed, and you know, he slowly got better and better. There's so many things I could say about that. Like, it was such a testament to Mom and Dad's love. They had been married 45 years. And like, to see like what real true love is. It's not always good, and to be there in the good times and the bad times, and sickness and in health. Like, it really showed me Mom was such a trooper. She was there every single day, sitting by his side, helping, bringing him comfy jammies, bringing him cards from all the family. Like, anything she could do to make this a little bit easier on Dad, even though it must have been so hard on her, like, she did it. But yeah, this was kind of 2 story times in one. My dad's stroke and my miscarriage. But I just want to let you guys know, like, if you've gone through something like this, you are not alone. Even if you haven't told your friends, your family, anybody. Like, I know, even if you aren't crying all over and letting everybody in on what's going on, it is really hard. It's hard almost 2 years later, and I'm not a super emotional person, but you can see this, it really affected me. I also had a friend who had gotten pregnant like the same time as me, had a miscarriage right around the same time as me, and then got pregnant again a month later. And then, like, I saw on Facebook when she had her baby, and I was like, wow, I could have had my baby by now. Like, things like that still affect you later on, and you're like, this is how old my baby would be. This is, you know, my sister-in-law ended up getting pregnant maybe 6-7 months later, and she has had her baby since then. And I was like, wow, I could have had a baby in between then, and there would be another person in this family right now. Like, these things affect you not just in the moment, and not just for the couple months after, but for years after. I don't think you really actually get over it. You just kind of move along. And then I still kept trying to have a baby the next month. And then I decided, because of all of my back issues and weight issues and PCOS, that I decided to have gastric bypass. And I am now 9.5, almost 10 months post gastric bypass. I have lost a lot of weight, and I'm hoping once my year mark is up, that I can actually have another baby. I'm hoping. But yeah, that's my story on that. I hope if it just helps one person, it's worth it for me to share, but I hope it helps more than one. Okay, guys, enough of the sad, hard stuff. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope if anybody's struggling with this right now, that you have supportive boyfriend, husband, family, significant other, anything. I just hope you have some people that you can lean on when it's hard. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.